To help set up the day, Kevin Hincks is with me, co-host of Fast Market, live from the CBOE. Of course, we'll be getting more news. We'll have Fed minutes and such, but tariffs into effect. They had till noon yesterday, then hours kicked in at midnight, right? China. Tell us, bring us up to speed here, because pretty much we saw a blip of hope early on, but we're back in the red.
Good morning, Nicole. Well, the markets are all over the place this morning. They were just down 2%. The NASDAQ almost just went positive just now. So the markets are all over the board. Volatility, you're seeing the VIX. I saw 57. It's currently sitting around 53.5. So the VIX is moving all over the place. Crude oil almost hit $55. Now it's back over 56.5. So markets are really moving significantly. The 10-year yield almost hit 4.5. Now it's 4.43. So, Nicole, here's the thing. The rhetoric that we thought was dying down yesterday when VIX got actually under 40 is back up to peak levels. The rhetoric is loud. Pessimism is very loud. And that is the time you have to really look at these markets, because, remember, China, that put now 84% tariffs on the U.S. That's a very loud statement for China to make. But China is, like Scott Bessent said, playing a losing hand as we buy 5 times more from them than they do from us. So I would expect some negotiations are going on. They already alluded to that they'd like to negotiate. So I think the markets are bracing for peak volatility here. The markets are thin and whippy, and get ready for more volatility, Nicole. But I think there's some good things coming here. More hard economic data this morning. Mortgage apps, strong. Refinancing up 35%. Purchases up 9.2%. Therefore, the composite up 20% in mortgage apps. Now, some of that can be talked away as rates have climbed ever since then. But all things considered, you see now the effects on the hard data of lower interest rates. Nicole, we are working through so many things this morning to try to figure out what these markets are doing. All things considered, the one term we can come to consistently, volatility. That's what these markets are dealing with right now, Nicole. Pretty significant levels of implied volatility that a 57 VIX illustrates.
You know what? We're getting some headlines here from Scott Bessent and our Treasury Secretary, and I think they bring a sense of calm. You tell me what you think. He's basically saying this is the top. This is the top of the tariffs. You're not going to see more. China is the only country putting on retaliatory tariffs. And so if that's the case, maybe, just maybe, those 50 or 70 countries that have been referred to over the last 48 hours are making some deals. Maybe in a week, we'll have some clarity. I mean, I think that a lot of folks that I've been hearing, granted, this has gotten more scrutiny than anything else and a lot of criticism. How it was done, the way it was done, the order in which it was done, et cetera, et cetera. But if they have 70 negotiations that are underway and only China is clamoring, what do you think?
I think you're right. I think China is a much different trading partner than the rest of the world, because China will be loud with their rhetoric, but you know that they're negotiating behind the scenes. Remember, the rhetoric isn't always what's happening behind the scenes. So, yeah, I think, Scott, you're right, though. Scott Bessent is a calming force coming out of the administration and the markets. I think he's very clear. Some of the, it's funny, as you watch interviews with different people in finance, you see the people that really get it and some of the people that don't get it. And I just saw an interview with the CEO of Apollo. Very intelligent, well thought out thoughts on the market. Scott Bessent, very well thought out thoughts on the market. Those are the people in times of crisis like this that people should be listening to as they navigate these markets. So I just think, yes, Scott Bessent, he's almost like Jerome Powell as he delivers news to the markets that the markets generally like. So I put him in that camp. So yeah, I would listen to what Scott Bessent said. He does not use hyperbole. He doesn't use harsh words, but he certainly has clear messages that the market should listen to. And I think that's what the market is taking some comfort in. The fact that now, since you and I are on the air, NASDAQ has turned positive today, Nicole.
Yeah, and you used the word whippy. I've never heard that word, and I think that's a good one because that really is what's happening. I mean, if you blink, whatever you saw 5 minutes ago is no longer the case, and that's how it's been. Yeah. It's been pretty tough for folks. I've also been hearing that people are selling treasuries in order to meet margin calls on their equities, but they don't want to sell their equities, not at the lower price. They want to hold on to them because they believe in them in the future. So what do you think of that?
Well, margin calls, remember something. Every future that you buy, every instrument you buy has margin. Your clearing firm, if they judge that there's an increased level of risk out there, can raise those margins. And they often do in times like this. I saw it in the grain markets when I traded the grains. And traders that may be bumping up against their margin caps have to lower their inventory to meet the margin calls. So there's one theory that could be happening why bonds are selling off. The other one is they could be selling bonds to buy stocks at these levels. There's also that idea there. So yes, the bond market is certainly interesting right now, moving up very close to 4.5%. But why is that happening, right? Why is the dollar lower? Why is crude oil, trading almost $55 today? Now it's almost 57. So they're coming off a lot of the lows. But you're getting thinner markets. Whippy, Nicole, is short for whiplash, which can happen in these markets when they move like this. So these are times to stay calm, make good, clear decisions on good companies and good products that you believe in, and always manage and control your risk.
So I saw when we talk about bonds, right, and that folks have been selling off bonds, and I heard it right here on the floor, so I'm getting it firsthand. You're hearing the different scenarios, and all of these are likely true and all happening at the same time. U.S. Treasury bonds sell-off as 30-year yield rises the most since 1982. When we get these Fed minutes today at 2 o'clock, I'm interested to hear them, but they are so backward-looking. Final quick thought?
Yes. The Fed minutes are always move the market. I say this a lot on this network. I don't know if they should move the market because it's very stale data, stale rhetoric from a couple of weeks ago, but the Fed minutes will always move the market. More important, CPI, hard data that we're going to get tomorrow morning, I think is important. We're about to start earnings season. We're going to get guidance going forward. Like Delta. Delta is going to be a fascinating story today, Nicole. You know why? Because capacity. You're going to learn about the word capacity in airlines. The fact that Delta came out with a fairly hesitant, conservative, gloomy story, but talked about capacity being flat for the year, and the stock is rallying on that news. It's counterintuitive, but capacity is such a vital word when you talk about airlines. So all these things are leading to very volatile markets moving around. You've really got to be patient and careful and pick your spots in these markets. But these are certainly markets. Volatility, once understood, is to be embraced, not something to be afraid of.
Look, and Jenny Horn's going to be talking about Delta in a moment. I will add just a quick thought, and that is that Kathy Wood on Monday was at the closing bell. Monday, NVIDIA price was buying. Made that decision that it was time to buy and put some money back to work in NVIDIA. So it's very interesting. And as far as the the Federal Open Market Committee, those minutes, I feel like those are always important. But now, today, in light of the last 4 days, I just don't know how prevalent it is. I think they're always important, but I think in this particular case with the tariffs blowing up, I just feel like it's a different scenario. But let's see what happens at 2 o'clock. We'll be on again together. Kevin Hincks, great to see you. Thank you.